Right, Rich, we're at the London Craft Beer Festival. Give us your first thoughts.
Well, it's quite possibly the most magical place I've ever been in my life. I've never seen so much craft beer in one place, and I'm genuinely excited. I'm already 4 in, so we'll just see where we go.
Plus, there's a guy over there with a Greg's t-shirt on, so that's always bringing the class into the London Craft Beer Festival. Barbara, what have you had so far? What do you like?
This is Wiper and True. Very cold, but to be honest, that's about spot on for we're mid-30s today here in London. Sorry, I forgot, this isn't the weather forecast, is it? Yeah.
You know we like to talk about the weather on this podcast, so yeah.
All sorts. I've already lost track, but that's quite a good indication of the spirit in which we've engaged here. There's a lot of excitement and no real intent to pace ourselves in any way, which might become quite a sensible strategy before long. Anyway, we'll soon see.
Well, yeah, we'll check in later on and give you the update as we go along. Okay, just making a special mention for Primus Hacked Brewery. I've had the Pilsner, very, very good. Rich, which one did you have?
Oh, the IPA, and it was delightful.
I've got the blonde. I'm sorry, I forget the name already, but it's the traditional Belgian blonde, which is lovely.
Okay, so special mention to Hacked Brewery. We're definitely going to have to look them up and do a whole episode on.
So we've just visited Queer Brewing, and we've just got a double IPA for 8%, so I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah, I try and we do a bit of a mix when there's a few options on, but I personally don't get on with the white beers, so that was a 4% called Flowers, but I think we've both gone for the double.
You know what, you try these 8% and all this sort of stuff and you expect them to be a bit heavier and a bit heartier. This is incredibly light and fruity kicking through, and it is good. Try some, Joe. This is
I think the smaller quantities are probably helping us out a bit here as well. I'm not sure I can do a full pint. Not sure I could do a full pint of this one. I know it is.
Oh yeah, that is delicious. It's got a lot of flavour. Very robust flavour, I'd say. I guess that's that double dry hopness you're going to get there.
Robust.
It smells good. It smells quite unfiltered as well. So it's like an unfiltered, unpasteurised kind of version of it.
You can see it's so cloudy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cloudy in appeal. So it's that lovely kind of like that, as you say, cloudy, like pale. Yeah, cloudy and pale kind of like look to it.
That's good.
So yeah, liking what we're hearing from and seeing from Queer Brewing. Okay, so we just had some Beak Brewery. They're from Lewis, very near, close to me actually, Tunbridge Wells way.
Sussex, right?
Yeah, exactly. So very close. Actually, a lot of heritage of beer in Lewis, actually, aren't there?
Yeah. That's not Harvey's.
Harvey's is Lewis, mate. Yeah. So exactly. There's a lot of beer heritage Lewis. So good to see a craft beer coming out. Barbie, we and I have got the Pals Pills, haven't we?
Beautiful, lovely, really smooth. Just goes down easy. Did I just hear the gentleman there explain it's been quite popular in Japan?
Yes, they just shipped some cases out to Japan.
It's the craft beer scene in Asia is blowing up at the moment, and these I'm trying Straw, which is the 7%, and it is once again everything's just so light and refreshing at the moment. I don't know if that's just the sun and any form of liquid is making me feel absolutely fantastic at the moment.
I think it's just because you got sunglasses on. I think as soon as you put sunglasses on, every beer just tastes that much more refreshing.
The man is the embodiment of fresh, so actually all the drinks are just going in the same way.
I think it's the handlebar moustache that does it. You know, it really seals the deal.
Yeah.
So Rich, what have you got? So I've got we've just been to New Bristol Brewing, and I've got the mango and lime lassi ghost. Very, very tasty. Quite unusual. I never really have ghosts, if I'm quite honest, but it's delicious. So what are you on?
I'm on the blueberry lemon donut drizzle, and it's fairly intense.
I mean, that sounds intense just from a name. I mean, I love that they're not like pulling any punches. They're really going in on those kind of like different flavour combinations. What about you, Buzz? Are you in the mood for a bit of New Bristol Brewing?
I am. I'm still finishing off our Beak from earlier on, but then there's a very, very attractive looking Mondo stand with neon lighting and cavey vibes going on. Not normally what I think of with a beer, but I'm drawn to it.
No, I think we're going to find ourselves in the Mondo party in a second.
Try that and tell me it doesn't taste like cake at the end. So you get like a load of hits and then it tastes a bit cakey.
Wait for it. There might be a little whiff of cakey in there. There's a lot of what was that, raspberry?
It's like blueberry lemon donut drizzle, but you get a slight pastry taste at the end, which is a bit mad.
I mean, the fact that they've been able to capture that pastry-like taste in a beer is hilarious.
Try it.
I was going to say it's different. It's different as well.
I feel like I've just eaten some sort of Mr. Kipling cake right there. You know, that's really interesting. So yeah, definitely. Like, I've never had a beer that tastes so cakey at the end there. That's delicious.
I've noticed, just on the topic of a Mr. Kipling tasting beer, I've noticed, we talked about them in the past. So the London Craft Beer Festival, we were comparing it to other beer festivals in the past. I think the phrase, "this is way better than Worcester," was mentioned. But I've noticed it's slightly different to a camera vibe in here, isn't it? There's a few camera types in here, but I've been to a couple of camera beer festivals which have been a little bit more cask heavy, shall we say.
Well, I'm just loving, I guess, on that point, there is such an eclectic mix of people here, which is perfect, you know all sort of walks of life, whereas I feel where the camera's here, it attracts the bearded folk, whereas, who really, really invest in their beer. Whereas I think here you've got a whole mixture of people. I mean, we've already talked about Queer Brewery upstairs, having some delicious brews. Everyone who's anyone is here right now at the London Craft Beer Festival. This feels like we're at the Milan Fashion Week of brewing.
You know what I really enjoyed? There was just a gentleman who walked past with a t-shirt that just said beer. It wasn't sponsoring any other kind of beer. He was just beer. I was like, my kind of guy.
Right, we've just been to Brixton Brewery. Rich, tell me what you've got from Brixton.
I've just got a black lager, which I've never heard of in my life. So I'm not too sure what it's going to be, what it's going to taste like, but just give me a minute.
So I went with their electric mix, their kind of session IPA. It's very tasty, very quaffable.
What I can tell, this is a charcoal-based lager, is what I'm getting from it, and it is, I'm not going to lie, it's not great. Lagers didn't taste like charcoal, which is exactly what it tastes like, and it's now tainted my beer glass. Sorry, Brixton.
Well, I mean, that's different. I mean, it is what it is. It's a very distinctive colour, and by the sound of things, very distinctive taste. So you're going to have to try and wash this out. And there are water stations all around, but there you go. I'll hold that. I'll give a try this. That is interesting because that is. It's a charcoal lager. No, what's it called? Black lager.
Black lager.
And that, in my opinion, tastes like a watered down imperial stout.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I think I probably just look like a cat who's just had catnip. He's like freaking out. How was that? Not as feisty and in your face as an imperial stout, but still giving you a cat scratch, whatever happens.
They've been picking up casts every day. What are you talking about? Right, we're at the Timothy Taylor stand. So I've gone for Landlord, which is the be-all and end-all when it comes to classic beers.
And we are doing an episode on Timothy Taylor's coming soon, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, and then a whole episode, listeners. This is a bit of a sneak preview.
Spoiler alert. I love it.
Yeah. So Landlord is the traditional English ale. It's warm. It is warm to the taste. It's not a cold beer, and it's what you would have described, Rich, as a flat beer. Barbara, what have you got now?
I forgot. One sec. I'll be right back.
I've got the new. So they've dropped at this beer festival. Timothy Taylor's have dropped the Hopical Storm, I think it's called, pale ale. So I'm currently trying that, and I won't lie, I've not been a fan of Timothy Taylor's. When I first tried it a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was just a bit meh, would be the best way to describe it. And I'm currently trying the new Hopical Storm pale ale, and it is still meh.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's pretty bland and tasteless.
Even as they're like attempts as a craft beer, you're not really a fan of that.
It's there's nothing special about it in any way, shape or form.
Don't listen to him, listeners. He's just trying to be provocative and he's just trying to wind me and Joe up because I've got the Knoll Spring, which is the golden 4.2%. That's pretty lovely as well. I can't really say for the Hopical Storm. I've not had it yet.
Right.
Okay, well, so yeah, we'll put.
I have just had a bit of the Hopical Storm. It's a kind of a weakened down version of a pale ale, I'd say, in my opinion. I'm afraid to say.
I think I would like to try it when I'm not under so much pressure, and could like.
Give us your review, Barbara.
I decline to comment at this time.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Actually, no.
Landlord.
Well.
This is really going to set you over the edge. We're just trying landlord, probably for the first time.
It's still rubbish. It's like
No, it's actually a delicious beer, but I get where you're coming from. If you're looking for those like fruity, like IPA, double dried hops, situation.
I don't mind a traditional ale. That just doesn't taste good.
I'm standing my ground on Hopical Storm. It's like more sessionable. It's got a little bit of a nutty vibe going on, which will appeal to a lot of people who might not be you drabbers with your coconut tango chewing gum nonsense. But that's a nice beer.
It's not. It's not a nice beer. It's boring, it's bland, and there's nothing charismatic about it.
Drabbers, let's not fight because you will win and I'll just be embarrassed.
Well, let's face it, we can't really agree too much on Timothy Taylor's. We'll have to wait to the full episode to do a full debrief on that. But what we all can agree on is the guys who are working the Timothy Taylor stall are hench.
I was quite intimidated. They're lovely, but heavens above.
Jacked.
Free gym passes at Timothy Taylor, that's all we can say. Right, so we just had Glass House from a Birmingham-based brewery, so very close to Rich and I's home. Munari, what do you think?
I think it's one of the nicest things I've tried so far on this beer adventure that I'm going on today. It's light, it's refreshing, it's incredibly hoppy, and the boys are just really nice who seem to brew it, so I'm there for that.
I've just had a little taste of that. That's beautiful. I've not got that. I've tried Blackcurrant Julie, which is a fruit pale. I'll have a little sip of it while you deliver your verdict on.
Well, I just think as a session ale, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's refreshing, it's palatable, it's not evasive in any way, shape or form, but it's not like, it's not bland, it's got flavour to it. So I think it would pair very nicely with out in the sun, doing what you want to do, with some food. It basically will fit into quite a lot of different scenarios. So Munari by Glasshouse, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I can see myself drinking it all day, which is lethal in one sense, but yeah, I'm there.
Fan though I am of the Munari. Actually, to be honest, I'm being a little bit selfish. I'm thinking the world revolves around me. The Blackcurrant Julie is not my cup of tea.
Right.
I don't really pick up these free ones that often. They might be for someone out there, but this is...
not your cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. Again, there's people out there who will love this, but this is that very sour, very fruity, like not that hoppy, not that malty. Well, I mean, like malt, almost as if malt's not been near it. But that's not the beer that it is, if that makes sense.
But talking to them just there, they've only been around since 2019, and they've actually only been doing like a whole trading year. So they're almost a year old. And I already love the fact that they're trying different beers. They're not just rallying around one specific beer. Like this Munari's a hit. They're probably putting out there and people are buying it. But the fact they're trying different brews as well, I think is a really interesting confidence.
Yeah, you just do one, you're sunk, aren't you? Let's be honest.
Right, two tribes held, very tasty. I've had it before, very nice. What have you got, Rich?
I've got the watermelon something or other. I can't remember the full name, but it is just a bit too sour.
Is it sour though?
It is sour.
That thing nearly just made me cry.
Like there's sour beers and they've just gone a bit too far the one way, and it's just like, I was going to say it's like those atomic sweets you used to eat when you were younger.
So if you're into that kind of thing, which let's face it, a lot of Gen Zers are into those kind of like Tiny Rebels made their money off very sweet beers. So
I've made my feelings about Tiny Rebel very clear.
Well, we're going to see them shortly, won't we?
I genuinely can't wait. It's there. I hope the CEO's there. It's there.
No, you want the head brewmaster.
100% they're telling me his beers are awful.
I don't know what it is I've got. You very kindly got it for me, but this is a little bit more doable. Hells. Oh, it's the Hells.
So it's one of their signature beers is the Hells.
No wonder. Yeah, no, that's far more doable. Easy on a palate and just kind of like beer. Does that make sense? We're having a little taste of Burning Sky. I don't know if you got the same as me, Rich, but I've got the Saison Ete, if my pronunciation is all right. It's probably a fairly crisp and refreshing drink, but I don't know. I was expecting more out of the taste, considering it's a Saison, right?
So I think mine was called the Lupendetto, and it's fine in the grand scheme of things. It's not repulsive in any way, shape or form, but it's not blowing me away. And I think the worst part is I've tried an incredible amount of beer today, and I've tried some phenomenal ones.
An incredible amount of beer.
Incredible amount of beer, and it is.
If anything, you are to be commended for that as well.
Well, it's understandable. I've drunk a lot of beer, and
You've received that badge
Yeah.
of honour that you're receiving. Yeah.
and it's fine. It's fine. There's better stuff out there.
I would say you get a better judge of beer once you've had an incredible amount of it. So
If anything, that just like sharpens your senses towards what a good beer is about. Doesn't matter that it didn't blow you away though, because we have actually stumbled upon a little bit of a secret of the Craft Beer Festival in London. There is, in the room in which Northern Monk are, and and Brew York, there is a absolutely golden air conditioning machine, which we've decided to loiter by for an extended period, basically.
we are definitely purloining this cool air that's coming out of the air conditioning right now. So yeah, I think in this room, Brew York, Northern Monk.
Brew York, to be fair, have sold out, or they're emptied, so they are fairly near the entrance, but people quite obviously were looking at their first few options and went, I'm going Brew York.
It's a very good sign to sell out one or second day of selling.
What is it? It's 2 and this just because we're seeing it 2 hours before the end of the thing. It could have been longer than that ago, but they actually ran out.
But plenty more beer to where that comes from. It might not be from Brew York, but there's plenty more beer to go around.
Yeah, let's go hunting for some.
2 more hours?
Dales, you say? Okay, where's Dales?
Ales and Dales. There's a pale ale from Dales. It's an American beer.
Slow down. I don't know where the hell I'm from. Ales, Dales. To be sure.
Is that an aircon unit? Let's go and reconvene over near the aircon unit. Yeah. So yeah, I asked the gentleman what beer that isn't like a Stone or a Lagunitas, because we know those breweries in America. What are you? Oh my god, this is amazing. What do you recommend to have? And he was like, well, tell me something you don't know and I'll give it to you. And I was like, well, I've never heard of Dales before, so give me a Dales. And I'm drinking a Dales Pale Ale. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's easy for you to say.
Delicious.
Excellent. It's a nice sort of
and
chestnut kind of colour as well.
Yeah, and the difference being is it is a very kind of quintessential American version of a craft ale.
Right.
So it is as you say, chestnut and is more brown in kind of like colour, discoloration. You know, it tastes kind of like more like chestnutty, I suppose is the right word for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we got sidetracked. We actually, Drabbers and I got drawn to Faulty Alston, and to be honest, we were kind of drawn to them. I don't want to be mean, but it's kind of like we were like, there's no queue here, which like normally you don't go.
Yeah.
Oh look, go where they're in the queue. You kind of think that's the one that's neglected, but they've got a Napa on show.
Oh, wow.
And we are loving it, right?
It is delightful. Like as we all know, I'm a big Napa fan, and this was just hits the nail on the head again. It's slightly sour, a little bit citrusy kicking through as well. And it just packs a little bit of a punch, which I'm there.
If you've got like a big whole spectrum, at one end you've got something that's refreshing you ain't got to think about, and at the other end you've got heavy, very full-bodied, a lot going on in terms of flavour. For me, this is, I mean, it's probably more than 50% towards the latter, but that is probably the done thing in beer at the moment, and it is nailed it. 10 out of 10, doesn't it?
Cracking. Definitely try them out.
What was that brew again?
40 Alston.
We're checking them out. Are they American? Are they?
Dalston. Not
Well, that's not American then.
No, Dalston. I don't know. I've not heard of them before.
Dalston's in London.
Fine. I'm not going to argue with you on that. Yeah, I thought you were trying the American ones.
No, I was. And I went to the Discover American Craft Beer.
Well, I've had enough of that and I'm leaving.
Enjoying this?
Right, so this is the double barrels, the limited release. They've just literally dropped it at 2:30 today at the Craft Beer Festival. Yeah, I mean, it's petrol. It's an Imperial Stout, barrel aged in, what was the bourbon?
Whiskey barrel.
It was a bourbon barrel, but it was a specific bourbon barrel. Do you remember?
Yes. Why not?
So it's an Imperial Stout aged in for a year in whiskey bourbon barrels.
It's funny to look at it. There's like no heads or anything. It's like liquid tar, right?
It's a pure Imperial Stout, and actually, that is really tasty. It's an Imperial Stout, so it is not a pale ale. But actually, as a flavour profile goes, that is really interesting. I'm really enjoying that taste. And Rich has got a look of absolute, like, he's just been defeated by this beer right now, because his whole premise is about that he hates Imperial Stouts. There are no good ones. Why else would you ever have an Imperial Stout? And yet, this one by Double Barreled Brewery is interesting.
Okay, so I stand by that Imperial Stouts in general are not good beers. They're not good to drink. And I still stand by, I could not drink a whole pint of this in any way, shape or form. But I will hold my hands up and say the taste profile and what I tried just then is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
Yeah, legit. It's like don't think of it as a beer in many ways, isn't it? That's a better way to treat it. It's almost like you've got a little sipping digestif or something like that. Something you're going to have in a minimal volume. I mean, I don't know the size of the bottle that they cracked open, but it is something to have a little sip on later on. It is going to be, it's bringing the fire. It's bringing the, I'm not going to use the P word to describe this one, because this is absolutely the epitome of that word. But it's
poking.
Yeah, no, that's a good word. Yeah, we'll say that from now on. But no, it's kind of almost like don't treat it as you can't put it on the same table. This is not a real phrase. You can't put it in the same table as these session beers we've spent most of the day drinking. It's something else. It has got that really bold, get in your face, think about this sort of vibe to it. And I think actually, when you consider all of that, we're all here for it.
But also, not to forget, it's a 12%. Like, this is 3 times the amount of any other beer we've had so far. This is a big beer right now.
Yeah.
So you aren't meant to consume it in a normal session, you know, you are meant to have it as like a treat with friends, which I think we're having right now. So, you know.
Yeah, give it a try as a one-off. It is absolutely the polar opposite of, you know, the classic arc. It's not going up there with Heineken and Carlsberg, is it?
No, but I think also as well, like, in the way of a drop goes, I think Double Barrel Brewery have done this really well, and that they're the only people I've seen so far that have had a limited release for a drop at 2:30. Like, they've given a specific time, and the crowd that had gathered around Double Brewery, was huge. You know?
There were like legitimately a few like expectant faces wanting to give this a go.
And those crowd and the faces were very much beer drinkers, that's for sure.
Thank it didn't taste awful, because if it would tasted horrific, imagine what would have happened. Like, just not good.
Yeah, not messing about. I think everyone was going to say it was good whatever happened in many ways.
But yeah, I mean, as an Imperial Stout goes, it's the most palatable one I've had, and the fact that I'm only having a few sips of it is even more so why I think it's palatable. And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barber, and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.